Hey everyone, and welcome to Read This Now, the weekly webcast where Brad Gustafson and I share two books that we love and we think you should read. When, Brad?
Right now, people, like the fine print, actually not fine print, like the show title says, read them right now.
Right. I don't even know what I'm pointing
I
at,
just
but
followed your lead,
I know, right now, exactly. How are you, my friend?
So good, so good. This is always one of my favorite times of the week. And really quick, so I just am hopping from a mock Newbery Club via Zoom that our media specialist was facilitating with some readers. And it was so cool to hear them talk about books that we've book talked and that you've book talked. And one of them, well, a few of them I hadn't read, but they were talking about the star scattering one. I forget what that one's called.
Yes.
I haven't read it yet.
Yes.
But I'm thinking as they're like gushing over it, I'm like, Jen told me about that book. I got to circle back to that. So thanks for keeping us in the know, Jen, and ahead of the curve and all that good stuff.
I love it. I get so excited when I hear about books that I love being read by, younger readers and having them love it. It's just exciting to have those reading communities, those ripples of literacy. You see them out there. I just love it.
There's nothing like talking about books with friends, like we're doing, but doing it with elementary kids is so cool. One quick side story is we had a little mini conversation on how cool would it be for like some of our favorite novels to be converted to graphic novels, and even vice versa, like graphic novels that we fall in love with. Would it be cool, or maybe it wouldn't be, to get to be able to go in the world a different way? So.
Well, I'm just such a nerd about that kind of stuff that variety in formats really, I don't know, I'm fascinated by them. I love to see books that come in multiple formats and then experience them in those different ways, whether I'm thinking about Jason Reynolds' Long Way Down, and how I read the book, which is a novel in verse, then I read the graphic novel, and I've also listened to it. And I got a different experience from all three of those formats. And of course, most people aren't going to read the same book three times, but it makes me also feel like that's a wider net for different readers to get caught in, and to capture the joy of reading. So I love that. I love different formats. It gets me real excited.
Right. And that's kind of how I am. I just like any more I can get from a book.
Yeah.
I want it, even if I don't really get into the game of, I liked that more, or can't believe they made that a movie. It's more like I just geek out. So
yeah, I love it. Years ago, I'm going to say this one last thing. Years and years ago, when I was a classroom teacher, I never forget a teacher friend of mine coming in to do a lesson with my kids and saying something asking them, okay, y'all, what's better, the book or the movie, when you are, experiencing a story? And the kids had all sorts of answers and stuff. And I just remember her looking at them and saying, you're all wrong, because they're different formats. They can't be compared. You might like one better or have it be accessible, but they're really, comparison is the thief of joy, and you should never compare those things. And I think there's value in compare and contrast sometimes, but that lesson has stuck in my heart in terms of what's better. That's not a fair question sometimes. So
I agree. The interesting thing with that is the only time I would disagree is if it's like a book that's so rich and you just are in love with it, and then if it comes out in the movie with like the low budget or a little bit cheesy and it's not done well, then it doesn't do the book justice, and it's like, oh, come on, are you kidding me? But
oh, sure. I'm going to just go out and say something really controversial right now, I'm sure, or maybe it's not. But my favorite books of all time, without question, I don't even hesitate to answer this question. My favorite books of all time are the His Dark Materials trilogy by Philip Pullman. I love those books. And I've read them, listened to them many, many times. They live in my heart forever. And the first one, The Golden Compass, was made into a movie. And I'm here to tell you that movie stunk compared to the book. So on a personal level, I don't follow my own advice, but I do try to remember those things, especially when I'm talking to kiddos about books who maybe their first entry into the story is the movie and they really love it. And then that becomes a bridge to the book. And the movie may live in their heart as being really meaningful, have that thumbprint on their heart forever. So you just have to measure your words, yes. When you're talking about those things. But anyway, what did you read this week?
We've come full circle. So yes. I got a stunningly beautiful picture book to share. And then kind of the behind the scenes angle is I just finished a trilogy that I was loving. So sometimes I'll, if I'm immersed in a trilogy or a series, I won't, talk about every single book every week for you because you'll be like, Brad, enough. We know you like that. So sometimes that's one reason why I'm able to bounce around to different picture books too. So I'm going to share the cover first because I just want you to think about the title.
Okay.
The Range Eternal. And if you look really, it's beautiful and stunning.
Yes.
And warm, but I don't know if you can see the embers that are kind of glowing out of the word eternal.
Yeah.
It's almost like the sky's on fire. Yeah. So I cracked it open. It pulled me in, and I made some guesses about it. And the author actually, she grew up in the Turtle Mountain Reservation in North Dakota. Okay. So I had some ideas about what this might be about just based on the beautiful sunset. But the thing that I loved, and it's mainly the story was beautiful, but the surprise was it's talking about an oven, the Range Eternal. Right?
Really?
Yes. And I thought, oh my gosh, this turned out to be the most unexpectedly beautiful story. And basically, Jen, the visualizing, and it just felt like part of it is I live in Minnesota, and a story about an oven this time of year, you got me right there. But it just talks about how the oven was the center of this family's life growing up, and they would peer. I'm talking about the wood burning one, not the electric oven. And they would peer in, and she would see things dancing in the oven. This is a herd of buffalo, and how it would gave her family life, from a heating survival standpoint, but also their mother would heat up a big rock and tuck it in their blankie at night to keep their feet warm, and heat up potatoes to help them with their walk to school. Just how their life, and the soup they would make and things like that. And then something happens near the end that kind of changes, and I'm not going to give the whole plot away, but I think the thing that I just wanted to share is I got lost in a picture book, and it was just really cool to be able to just escape and appreciate the story. And that's just really the main reason I want to share it. It's a beautiful story. It has that unexpected kind of hook, but it's one of those stories that just pulls you in, and it really is a warm story. So it's The Range Eternal, written by, this is a hard name for me. I don't know if it's Louise or
Louis. It is.
Louise.
It is okay. Louise.
Thank you, Jen. Louise Erdrich. And then paintings by Steve Johnson and Lou Fancher. And these are incredible.
How beautiful. And you know what? This is exciting for me too, because I've never heard of that book. So I always get really excited when a new book is put on my radar. And I think this time of year too, it's there's lots of images or imagery and messaging around what home means and family. I think this time of year especially, and sometimes that imagery wraps around maybe a holiday or traditions that maybe not everyone can relate to, but the idea of hearth and warmth and gathering around something that is both captures your imagination and has a real practical purpose. I think that's something everyone can relate to. Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Oh, it's just stunning. And what you just said is so true. So as I was reading this, and kind of also, instead of myself just loving it, I was like, who do I know? What kiddos might really appreciate it? And I think the cool thing is, this might not be every single kid's favorite book, but I guarantee there are unique and rare rare is not the right word I wanted to use, but there are elements of this story that will appeal and resonate and connect with different readers, and lots of different ones. So there were so many like hooks or Velcro pieces that I could see kiddos latching onto. So I really do think you should read this one now, and just it's a perfect time of year to pull up a book that's about an oven.
Oh, I love it. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that today. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to today's show because I've been excited to share this book. I think we talked about last time in our last show about how this time of year is the time of year where like best books of the year start coming out. And I get those lists. I get real excited and geeked out about those kind of things, partially because I like to see if any of my own picks match up with other people. But then I also love to see when new books that I haven't even heard of that other people are saying, y'all, this was at the top of the year, and you should read it. It just makes me, it just like makes my little reader heart grow, you know, several sizes. And so this year I've been curating my own list in different categories. And as I got close to the list I wanted to share for young adult literature, I felt like it was kind of incomplete. You know, like I had a number of books that I was like shooting to share, and it felt like there was one hole in that list. And this week I found that book, and I was just so excited. And I don't know why I didn't pick it up earlier in the year, because you and I both loved the book that came out last year. I think it was. If it was not last year, it was the year before, by this same author. And you, when I share this cover, you're going to know with the book I'm talking about. Yes. Remember? Yes. Okay. So you remember Stepsister?
Of course.
Yes. Which was this amazing epic retelling of Cinderella, right? From the perspective of the stepsister. Well, Poisoned, Jennifer Donnelly has done it again, Brad, because Poisoned is the retelling of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, although in this book, they're the Seven Woodsmen. And this story is told from a variety of perspectives, but for people who love Jennifer Donnelly, you will not be surprised by the fact that A, it's an epic romping adventure with really short, like sort of cliffhangery chapters that keep you going and going and going. And B, it gives you the other side of the story. You'll still recognize like Snow White, if you know that tale, you'll still recognize it in it, but you'll learn things about how like the evil stepmother grew to be who she was. You'll learn things about what that mirror was really trying to tell her and how those messages affected her. You'll learn all sorts of things about those different characters and how they came to be who they are. But what the central like sort of question of this book is, Brad, that I just love so much and that I think is so important for 2020 is whether or not kindness is a weakness. If you're kind and you're empathetic and you show empathy and love for other people, rather than the other side of that coin, rather than perhaps some of the other traits that you might share with someone, is that really a weakness? Does that betray weakness, or is kindness really a strength? And in 2020, that feels like an important question for us to unpack. And oh my gosh, this was one of those books where I just recognized about 3/4 of the way in that I had flown through it. And you know, when you start getting towards the end and you don't want it to end and you have to start slowing yourself down, that's where I was with Poisoned. And I am so tickled that it's one of my very favorite books of the year. I'm so excited to share it with you now. And all I can say is Jennifer Donnelly is a freaking genius. I don't know how she thinks of these retellings, but I'm so excited that she continues to add to this list of sort of turning fairy tales on their ears. And in particular, one last thing, I think, although there's no like certain type of reader for this book, I love the way that these stories kind of empower girls. And so I'm going to leave it at that. So, and I think you should read it right now. Yes.
Yep. I can count on the number on my hand, the number of times I've either placed an order while you're talking or texted my wife and said, please, 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 we order me this. But I had to do it today because thank you. Like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I saw another friend of mine tweeted about that book, I don't know, a week or two ago, and somehow I forgot about it, even though it really piqued my interest. So,
yes,
I'm so excited.
I know. It's like it, and you might notice that this is an arc that I have, but the book's been out for quite a while. And I got this arc and just sort of put it aside. I don't know why I didn't get into it sooner because I loved Stepsister so much.
Yes.
So I'm excited that I finally remembered that was what I needed to read. Anyway.
And then as you were book talking, I was also thinking like Jennifer Donnelly is a genius. And then you said it at the end, like she is so good.
I know she's a master at this, and I just am in awe. Every time I'm reading her books, I think, how did she think of these things? It's just so amazing. Yep. And I love the idea of readers over time, maybe getting familiar with the classic fairy tales as they're younger. And then as they get older, experiencing those same stories again, but in a new, super empowering, smart way. I just love that. What a great thing. What a great time to be a reader, Brad.
Yeah, amen. Amen. Preach, Jen, preach.
Woo! All right. Well, thank you all for making this a wonderful year of Read This Now. We have one more show before the year ends, I think, or maybe one more before the show ends. We couldn't do this without you. If you would like to see all the books that we've read this year, as well as last year and the year before, where can they go, Brad?
bit.ly/read_this_now. Good stuff, people. Good
Woo!
stuff.
Thank you, everyone. Happy reading.